Hey, good morning, brothers and sisters. I'm Michael. Finally back on my way to work, and this is the free gospel. I want to just take a minute. It's just going to be a short little thing today. Short little topic, short little talk. And I just want to take a minute to thank everybody for their prayers while I was sick. I had a major illness go on, a major setback in my physical health, but never in my spiritual health. Whatever it was, I offered it to the Lord, and I figured, let Him take care of it, let Him do it, let Him restore me, that way I get back to work to provide for my family. And He was faithful to do so, and He did. But I do want to again thank you all for your prayers, thank you all for your love and your kindness and your support, and for the prayers of my family, and all of those who reached out to bless my family over the last month in one way or the other. I do want to say God bless you and thank you, and I love you dearly. But I want to say this. Being ill and coming back to work today kind of makes me think of the story of Job. You know the story of Job. Satan was wandering through the world. He came in the presence of God, and God said, "Where were you?" And Satan said, "I was wandering to and fro in the world, looking for souls to gobble up." I'm paraphrasing. And God said, have you considered my servant Job? And the devil said, "Well, I'll get him to turn on you." And God said, "Well, I don't think so, but do not affect his health. Do anything you want to him, but don't affect his health." So the devil said, "Okay, we're going to get him to turn on you, God." So the devil went down and he messed with Job's family. Job lost his family. He lost his children to death of some types, and he lost his fortune. Job was a very fortunate person. He had a lot of wealth, and in ways that wealth was measured in that time. And he lost his children, he lost his wealth, he lost everything. Satan had taken it away from him. And in the whole time, Job continued to praise and worship our God, our Father, the same God that you and I worship. So God said to Satan, he said, "I told you that he wouldn't." So then Satan was like, "Well, let's affect his health, and we'll see what happens to his health. We'll see if he turns on you then." So Satan went back, and Job eventually had this illness come upon him. He ended up getting these large boils, getting these large sores all over his body, and they were very, very painful. They say he laid in sackcloth, and he was very itchy, very painful, I could only imagine. Going through what I went through the last month, I can only imagine what he went through. I can really understand. And through some hemming and hawing, and through some praying, and through some discipleship, attempted discipleship from other folks, in the end, Job never really, bless you, thank you. In the end, Job never really cursed God, never really stopped worshiping the Lord. He questioned the Lord. He was wondering why. He was wondering how he was and what this could happen, which we all do. We're human. We do that. It's part of our human nature to not understand and try to lean on our own understanding, even though the Bible says to not lean on your own understanding. But in the whole time, even when he had other folks come upon him that were telling him that he was not faithful enough, that his faith wasn't big enough, his faith wasn't strong enough, that he didn't pray enough, that he was such a sinner is a reason why he was sick. And he would be like, "Who are you?" We get a lot of church people that do that, especially when there's like mental illnesses. We get a lot of church people. As Pastor Chris Wellborn calls them, he calls it churchianity, which I thought was hysterical. I like that, Chris Wellborn, if you're watching. It was a meme that he shared. I don't know if it was him that said it, but it was a meme. And I do appreciate it, Chris. But anyway, but these churchy people would get on to him. "Hey, what are you doing? You're not praying enough. You haven't, atoned for your sin. That's why you're sick. You haven't done this. You haven't done that. You're an evil person." That's why, basically, is what they were saying. And you hear from church people all the time. Like I mentioned, especially when it comes to like mental illness, I mean, we saw it in the gospel when Jesus came upon the blind man, and the disciples asked Jesus, they said, well, who in his family sinned? And, Jesus was like, well, nobody did. This is for the glory of God. And anyway, that was what happened with Job. So, and all these people coming upon him, and the whole time he never cursed the Lord. He rebuked those folks, and he asked questions, and then eventually the angel of the Lord came and said to him, listen, basically he said, listen, I'm God. He's speaking for God. He said, I'm God. He said, I do what I do. Don't question what I do. I do this for my glory, blah, blah, blah. Were you there when I created the earth and the heavens? Are you me? Blah, blah, blah. Although Joel still never cursed the Lord, he still asked, and he was rebuked for asking. He was more rebuked, I think, for not trusting in the Lord and leaning on his own understanding, I think is what he was rebuked for. But in the end, God fully, because Job stayed faithful, God fully restored Job. He fully restored him his health, and he fully restored his wealth. And Job became wealthier and greater and bigger and wealthier and stronger than he ever was. So when it comes your time to be ill, let's face it, we're all going to face an illness that we don't understand why. We're going to face one that might be serious of some type, but we don't understand why. My suggestion is this. First, give it to the Lord. Give it to the Lord. Pray about it. Pray on it. Lord, forgive me for my sin. Lord, help me heal. I give this to you. As best we can, don't question. As best we can, just continue to hold the Lord's hand and let him comfort you, and he will restore you fully, your wealth and your health, and make you bigger and better and stronger than you were before. Hey, thanks for listening, folks. Have a great day.